was looking at the cell. He was looking at the cell, trying to determine where in the cell was the brain. And what they did, they removed the nucleus of the cell. Now, if we removed your brain, your body wouldn't stay alive for very long. But the cell didn't seem to suffer as a result of having this nucleus removed. But what did happen was the reproductive aspects of the cell, the regeneration, rejuvenation, started to break down. And over a period of time, the cell became quite unhealthy. So they reckon anyway that it wasn't the nucleus of the cell that they had to be concerned about. What they did find in their research, there's a membrane around the cell. I'm not going to try and draw it because I can't draw one cell, let alone two. But they found that there's all over the cell, there are antennae, and attached to each antenna is a receptor site. And that receptor site is connected to the acceptor, which is this one, by a protein link. This is cellular biology for beginners, all right? It's not really pretty much more complex than I'm doing it here. So you remember we had this last time, the tuning forks, and I don't know if they're going to work on here, but this is a good example. It's not very good. It's a flat matte surface, so it doesn't really work too well. But remember how one can trigger off another. Now imagine that this receptor site is an antenna that has a unique frequency, similar to this one is, which is whatever it was, I can't remember, E at 639 cycles per second. But these are very exact. We spoke earlier, I think, about the different frequencies of the cells in the body that have a unique frequency. So a blood cell would have a unique frequency, a skin cell, a nerve cell, a bone cell, a muscle cell, a brain cell. All of these different cells that make up the body have all got this highly specific frequency, which I've been told is accurate to 18 decimal points. So you can see that this is really exact and important for the body to operate correctly, that these antennae are picking up all of the information the body needs. So what happens, and we mentioned this briefly last time, with the brain, when it's stimulated, when it's reminded of some event, then it goes into a pre-established firing order. So the neurons find themselves in a particular pattern, and then sparks between them, electrical discharge, creates a neuropeptide, creates an amino acid. These amino acids then, according to the various people who looked at this sort of stuff, cascade through the body. And remember, these are specific frequencies generated by the neurological process. So they're highly specific. They're only going to be attracted to a particular acceptor. And then when they pass by this environment, what happens is the protein link closes, which means the acceptor opens and allows the chemicals to enter the body, into the cell. When these enter the cell, they change the structure of the cell, the internal structure. They've all got a particular frequency. Now we add these 4 up, we've got this sort of a frequency thing a bit stronger than most. We, experiencing this, interpret this chemical shift as an emotion. So, now I am feeling this. And of course, if you say I am feeling this, all you're doing is telling the brain to produce more chemicals. really big chemicals now, big guns are out. And so then these chemicals will queue up to enter the cell. So if we say this red colour indicates a chemical that we associate or identify with as anger, you can see the body's becoming angry. What they found, and Candace Pert's done some work on this, she's another cellular biologist. What they found was that if you identify strongly with a chemical, then when this cell subdivides into sister cells, it has more receptor sites on for that particular chemical than it does for any other. And I mean, then if this is the case, then obviously the moment there's a trigger in the brain, a memory, a reaction, a very strongly conditioned reaction that occurs, then immediately, because there are so many receptor sites, without any hesitation or pause to reflect on what's going on, you have become angry. Just like that. And if you continue to identify with anger, the next time the cell subdivides, you've got more receptor sites on it for anger. So this is how we create our internal world. Although we believe we might be victims to it, we have no control, and a lot of people just think that, you know, they are angry, they are this, they are that. They don't question what's creating this. They're just reacting to the symptoms that arise. So the more you identify with, in this case, anger, could be anything, of course, the more receptor sites you have, the more immediate the effect will be. Ugh. So that's, I mean, I think it's pretty sort of straightforward and quite fascinating, really, to recognize what's happening in the body when we identify strongly with